In 2025, the world moved faster than ever before. Everyone was chasing something: likes, followers, promotions, dreams, deadlines. But somewhere in that race, people forgot why they started running. And that's where our story begins, with a man named Ethan Cole. Ethan wasn't a bad man. He worked hard, paid his bills, and smiled when people expected him to. But deep down, he was tired, not from work, but from wanting too much. Every day, he'd wake up to his phone buzzing, emails, messages, goals, all screaming one thing: you're still behind. Ethan's dream was simple: to be somebody. He wanted to build a startup, buy a Tesla, move to a big city, and prove to everyone that he had made it. And for a while, it worked. Investors called him brilliant. Friends called him lucky. His life looked perfect on screen, but felt empty off it. Then one night, he stayed late at the office. Everyone had gone home. Outside, the city lights flickered against the glass. Ethan stared at his reflection. Eyes tired, smile gone. He whispered to himself, "Why doesn't it feel like success?" That night, while scrolling social media, Ethan saw an old friend's post. The caption read, "I quit my six-figure job to teach kids how to dream again." At first, Ethan laughed, but later, lying awake in bed, he wondered, when did I stop dreaming for myself? The next morning, he called his mentor, Mr. Harris, an old man who had guided him years ago. Ethan confessed everything: the emptiness, the pressure, the noise. Mr. Harris chuckled softly and said, "Ethan, you've been chasing tomorrow so fast that you forgot how to live today." He continued, "Success isn't about reaching faster. It's about arriving with peace. You've built a life that looks perfect, but does it feel alive?" Ethan stayed silent. Those words cut deeper than any failure ever could. That weekend, Ethan drove out of the city. No phone, no laptop, just silence. He ended up in a small town, where time seemed slower. Children played outside, an old couple laughed over coffee, and nobody seemed in a hurry. For the first time in years, Ethan breathed. He met a woman named Clara, who ran a small bookstore. She told him she used to be a corporate executive in New York, until she realized success had stolen her smile. Clara said, "I stopped chasing the next big thing. I started chasing small, meaningful days." Her words stayed with Ethan. He spent the next few days helping her organize books, talking to strangers, and watching sunsets without taking photos. He discovered that happiness wasn't tea hiding in the future. It was quietly waiting in the present. Months later, Ethan returned to the city, not to rebuild his company, but to rebuild himself. He changed his business model to focus on helping small creators, not just profit. People thought he'd gone crazy, but Ethan had finally found something he'd lost long ago: peace. 1 year later, at a tech conference, Ethan was invited to speak. He stood on stage and said, "I used to chase tomorrow, thinking it held my happiness. But tomorrow never comes, because happiness only lives in today." The audience went silent. Then slowly, they began to clap. Ethan didn't become the richest man in the room, but he became the most content. His success wasn't measured in money, but in mornings where he woke up with purpose. He learned that in a world obsessed with speed, peace is the new success. So, if you're watching this right now, stop chasing tomorrow. Look around. The people, the moments, the small wins. They're your real life. Because in 2025 and beyond, the greatest achievement isn't being ahead of others. It's being at peace with yourself. Moral, shyness, and fear don't vanish overnight. They fade when you stop running from them and start walking through them. Fear only rules the moments when you don't act. But once you take the first step, fear loses its crown forever in the race for more. Remember, enough is already here. This is the Wisdom Shot, where small stories spark big awakenings. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who's chasing too hard, and remind them to breathe.